Well, hello friends. Welcome to the SerenityOS update for April 2020. Now, before we begin, as usual, let me talk about sponsorship. So the Serenity operating system and all of my content about it is always going to be free and open source. But if you would like to support my work and maybe someday make it possible for me to do it full time, then there are 3 donation options. So I'm on Patreon and GitHub sponsors for those interested in making monthly donations. And I'm also on PayPal if you are more interested in a one-time donation. And you can find links to these services in the video description below. And of course, as always, big thank you to everybody who's already supporting me in some way. It's been yet another really huge increase this month in support, and I just, it's overwhelming how cool it is. So thank you everybody for all the support. It's just too cool. So anyway, about April. So this has been a very unusual month around the world, as we all know, and many of us have been stuck at home. So that means that a lot of cool work has been going into Serenity with people being stuck at home and everything. So there's a lot of interesting stuff that I want to show you. And I guess we can start with display settings, which has gotten some interesting new things. So we have a color selection widget here by Hussein. And let's pick a color. And of course, if we have a more specific color in mind, we can go and hunt for it here as well. So maybe we want this color right here. And we can also use it to switch the wallpaper. So I'm going to bring back the original Serenity wallpaper here. Haven't seen this one in a while. I've been doing a lot of visual tweaks this month. So we have a new toolbar look. And I've been drawing a lot of new icons and stuff. Actually, you don't see the new icons here, but if we bring up Hack Studio, then we can see a lot of new toolbar icons and stuff. And we now have icons on the desktop, so I can show you that. We'll make a file here, testmd. So like a proper desktop operating system, we now have icons on the desktop. And actually, if we open this up, we can now see another cool feature, which is Markdown editing in text editor. So this is Markdown. We now do live Markdown preview in text editor. How? Oh wait, hold on. How cool is that? Very cool. And you can even do cool stuff like embed images. Say that you have, I don't know, like the buggy icon, for example. We can bring it in like that. So this is, I think, is a very cool feature, and it makes working on man pages so much nicer because now you can see what you're doing live. Anyway, and another thing here that you're not going to notice, but I noticed because if I drag on this thing, splitters are now interactive everywhere. Like previously you had to be like right in the middle of the splitter to be able to split, but now like all of the pixels in the splitter are interactive. It's just a little thing, but it feels so much better. And we have a bunch of new themes this month. Actually, I should probably bring up a window so we can see them. So we have a Redmond theme, which is sort of a Windows 95 look. And we have a Sunshine theme, which is the Sun Common Desktop Environment look. It's pretty good. And we also have a Redmond 2000 theme that I made, which is very close to the default theme, but has slightly different colors. So most of those themes were from Brendan, and it's very nice to have some color themes. And and over up here, actually, this month we have memory graphs now, not just the CPU graph, but also a memory graph, which updates every second. And this is pretty useful when you're doing some JavaScript hacking, for example, and your memory just starts to run away and you don't know what's going on. At least now you get a little bit of a visual clue here that you are leaking. Oh, right, I wanted to show this other thing in the text editor as well. So now if you drag the cursor outside the editor, when you're selecting, it will keep scrolling like this even though I'm not moving the mouse. This is actually a new feature. Previously it would just stand still and you had to wiggle the mouse to make progress. So that's a nice little fix. So if we go and look over here in the JS tests directory, you'll see that we are starting to accumulate a pretty hefty collection of JavaScript tests. And these are all unit tests that we've been adding as we develop the JavaScript library. So if we go in there and we run the test suite, we can see that we have 145 tests and they're all passing. It's pretty good. Since last month at this time, we had about 30 something tests. So the JavaScript engine is just developing at breakneck pace. It's been absolutely crazy. And there's been so much help from contributors. So Linus, Kessie, Stefan, Brian, Matt, Jack, Emmanuel, everybody else who worked on libjs. Thank you so much. So much good stuff been happening there. And by the way, I wanted to show you, we have this cool feature in the REPL that it will automatically syntax highlight when you are typing random code here. So I think that's pretty cool. Let's see, 3, 4, pretty nice. Maybe that color is not perfect actually, I don't know. But live syntax highlighting was added by Ali, so thank you Ali, very, very cool feature. Okay, so the JavaScript engine just keeps developing. It's like just living its own life now. It's just patches keep coming every day. I just keep reviewing and merging, and it's really awesome. So then let's look at the browser. So one of the new most noticeable features, I guess, is that we now have tabbed browsing. So we can open a second tab here, go to the Serenity website. That did not load. Let's try again. Okay. And we have tabs, and we have fav icons. So we now load site icons. And if we go up here, we can see a new browser app icon, which is made by Andreas, not me, but Andreas. And I really like this icon. I think it's just absolutely perfect for the browser. You can see the little ladybug here, and that's Sweden on the map. Very cool. So thank you, Andreas, for the icon. And of course, as always, there's been a whole bunch of things happening in the browser. I spent a bunch of time working on Canvas, on XML HTTP requests, and we started building out like path drawing. So this is like using Canvas path primitives. Still a lot of work to do there, but it is pretty cool. And then some other stuff we can see here is a PNG test. So we're testing loading various PNGs, and it actually, there have been a bunch of formats added, sub-formats to the PNG decoder. So thank you, Lepco, for working on that. And also we have a brand new GIF decoder for the system by Peter. So now we can actually load GIFs. They don't animate yet, but we can load at least, static GIFs, so it's pretty cool. And yeah, the browser development just chugs along. That's pretty good. And what else? Okay, so I guess we can go and maybe bring up Hack Studio. Or actually, let me show you some stuff I did in the profiler. So let's get a profile of just starting the browser. And maybe we'll load the PNG test here. Close it out. And we'll bring up our profile viewer. So now, in the profile viewer, we can actually go here and drill into a instruction level view of the profile samples. So we can, for instance, see here in loading that PNG suite that painter draw tiled bitmap is pretty heavy for some reason, and we can even see which instructions here we spend the most time in. And of course we can see the MMX memcopy here always appearing high up in the list, just because apps do a lot of memcopy. So this is a very, very cool tool for just a better performance analysis. And it keeps improving, so it's really good. And actually this month I did a couple of videos just using the profiler to profile apps on the system and then find performance issues and fix them. And I even ran it on the profile viewer itself and found some issues and fixed those. So it's been a good month for performance tools as well. And the disassembly stuff here, I actually kind of just added because I spoke to Itamar on IRC, and he was lamenting that we didn't have disassembly, so I just added it and figured, okay, I'll just put it in to the profile viewer, but what he wanted it for was for something else. So Itamar has been working on a debugger, and let me show you what that looks like. So let's compile a little program here, or actually let's edit that first a little bit. So I don't know, something like this. Hello, friends. Okay, and then let's build it. And if we go out here, let's see, so we can run the Serenity Debugger, and then we can break on, what is that, main CPP, line 7. Continue, and now we are actually stopped here, and we can inspect the registers, get a disassembly of where we are, and it has a bunch more commands, but basically we can continue our way until we print it 4 times and it exits. So it's pretty cool debugger by Itamar, and he's been kind of on fire this month. So let me show you another tool that he made. He also made this thing called functrace, which is a little program that runs another program and then prints out a function level trace. So not just system calls like strace, but actually function calls at the C function call level. So you can follow your program here and see every C function call that it makes. That's really, really interesting. And of course, if you try to run complex programs, it gets really, really verbose, but I find it a very interesting tool, especially for little experiments. So that's functrace. And and he didn't stop here. So another thing that he did was he added the debugger to Hack Studio. So now we can actually run and debug here. And you barely see it, but there's an arrow here now. So we're actually running this program in a debugger inside Hack Studio, and we can do single stepping, as you can see right here. Finally stepping to the end of the program and exit. So there's a lot of stuff to be added to it, but it's pretty damn awesome that we're starting to have a visual debugger integrated in Hack Studio. Very, very exciting stuff. So thank you, Itamar, so much for all of your awesome work on this stuff. It's been absolutely super cool stuff to see added. Very, very promising. Anyway, that's all the stuff in Hack Studio, I think. So what else do we have? We have, there's this little thing that I like so much, which is now we have an open command, just like the Mac does. Because on the Mac I always like to do open dot, and now you can do it here as well. And open just takes any path or URL and just figures out which program to use and opens it in that program. Very, very nifty. So I thought we could look at something in QuickShow. Right, so we have a bunch of new things in QuickShow. We now have this checkerboard pattern background, and we have a toolbar, which makes the app look a bit more like a Serenity app. And we can actually rotate the image. Very useful feature. And a lot of this good stuff in QuickShow was added by Hussein and Tibor, so thank you guys so much for working on QuickShow. It's really nice stuff. And there's probably many things I'm forgetting right now, but those were some of the things. And then it's just a little frivolous thing that Stefan added, just a little 3D spinning cube demo. It's not really anything special. It's just a little rendering demo, but it's fun to have more demos, so I wanted to show you. And something else, we now have a little ARP utility. I can show you the address cache from the kernel. So that was added by Brendan, so that's pretty cool. And also, actually, you didn't see this because it doesn't really show up anywhere, but we're now actually running a DHCP client, which was added by Ali this month. So now when we boot up, we're actually asking for an IP address from the network, and it just kind of works. So it's very, very, very nice little thing, and brings us a little bit closer to running this in real environments. And what else? I guess we have there's various kernel things that have been going on as well. So we can now mount disk images, not just previously you can only mount a hard drive or a device partition, but now you can actually mount a disk image in a directory. So that's pretty cool. So thank you, Liav, for working on that. And we now support some basic IP fragmentation so that we can send larger packets, and the kernel will split them up into smaller packets. So it was Ali who worked on that. And we now have few text timeouts. That's a good one. That's going to help with a lot of stuff that uses SDL, tends to want few text timeouts, and we didn't have that before, so that's really good. And there's probably a billion things that I'm forgetting because it's been just such a crazy busy month in the project. I think we got 1,000 commits this month from 42 or 43 individual contributors, which is just by far the biggest, most productive, most intense month in the project, and it's been super fun, super blast to see all the activity. So thank you everybody for joining in the fun. And I think this was everything I had to show today. So thank you very much for stopping by and catching up with the project. If you ever want to chat, we are all hanging out in the SerenityOS IRC channel on Freenode. Just come by. It's normally full of people. And other than that, I'm just going to say thank you again for your interest in the system, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.